Hi, everybody. Happy Tuesday. I am super excited to be here today because I am talking to Luke. So he's going to be showing up here in just a minute. And I'm going to let him say his last name because obviously I'm not really the greatest at it. He is a life and organization productivity coach. So I will let him introduce himself. And the topic of today is goal setting and planning. The benefits of it, maybe a few tips, and just hopefully an amazing conversation that you enjoy. So let's just give him a few minutes to join. Let's see. Give me just a second to see if I can invite him. There we go. I'm super excited to be here because I know that he's on his way. This is great. We're in completely different time zones, and so it's always an amazing win when we can figure out the time to show up and we actually do make it on time. So let's see if he's actually ready. 1 second. Let's see. I tried this new thing on Instagram and I'm not sure if I'm probably not the way it's, but hi Pau, thanks for joining. Let's see. Hi, I see Luke, are you online? Because I'm trying to send you the invite and it's not. Can you request to join? Oh, there we go. I think we made it. There we go. I see you.
Hey.
Excellent. Hi, Luke. Well, I'm so glad that this worked out and we have the opportunity to talk to you, but I didn't really
Yeah.
have the guts to completely introduce you or even pronounce your last name because I was like, I'm not sure about that. So I will
Yeah.
let you introduce yourself completely to our audience, and thanks again for making the time.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So I'm Luke. You say my last name, Tattersall. I'm in New Zealand, so way across a lot of water from. You're in Arizona, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So I'm a productivity and life coach. I help people who are overwhelmed or unmotivated, and I work with them to get them inspired and organized. Mostly because that was my own journey. I'm married with 3 kids, and I found just that increased responsibility at this time of my life. I got to kind of a bit of a burnout and stage and applied a lot of productivity stuff to my life. Saw some really cool results, got a lot of freedom, uplift in spirits, and basically that's my desire now to work with other people.
That's awesome. That's a great, I mean, I can definitely relate. I'm also married with 2 toddlers, and I am moving in that direction as well because the burnout is really no joke. I feel like many of us have gone through that, especially when we're trying to balance all the new things, and 3 kids can be a lot.
Yeah, yeah,
So I know you wanted to talk about goal setting and planning. So is that one of the first few things that you try doing for yourself when you were trying to get out of the overwhelm part of
yeah.
it?
Very much just getting control of everything that's happening on a day-to-day basis first, and then once you've done that, we look at where are we going to, and then start applying habits to work towards a goal. Just giving some sort of direction to the stuff that we do in the day. So I'm not too sure. I keep things like pretty simple because I find anything that's complicated you generally don't do. So if you go, hey, here's how you plan your life, and it's all these pages and pages of reading and things to fill out, you're probably not going to do it. So the way I plan is actually very simple, and particularly with my long-term planning, and then I bring it back to the day-to-day and what I might do on a habit sort of basis. what would you like to look at? Like, do you have your own planning methods that you use currently? Or would you like me to kind of talk about what I would recommend doing?
Oh, we're definitely gonna get into what you recommend doing. I feel like there's such a personality based into all of your planning that it can go on. You can go into, there's all kinds of things. I come from project management, so the way that we look at a timeline it can be very different than other people. And yes, to some that can be very like too much. It can be too much.
Yeah.
So why don't we actually start by, what do you think goes first? Goal setting or planning?
So, goal setting would be, if we think about at the end of our life, as we going in a box and being put on the ground or whatever you want to do at the end, how do you want people to be thinking about you? What are they going to be speaking about you right at the end? And that's what's called having the end in mind. So what I get people to do is we have 7 areas of our life that we want to try and empower. And when we think now right up to the end of our age, we might be 90, 100, maybe 80, depending on sort of the lifespan of the time, what do you want to have achieved at that point? So that's where I would go, okay, put that down and then work back from there. And therefore you've got something to work towards, and we start making milestones and steps along the way. So the 7 areas that we would focus on would be health and wellness, which is your physical and mental well-being, your mind, so that's what sort of wisdom can you grow into, what areas can you become more savvy in, so how do you want to be as an expert by the end of your life. For me, I've probably at this stage chosen I want to be an expert in master planning and productivity, so that anyone could ask me a question about it when I'm older and I could just help just about anyone wherever they're at. The third one is relationships. So mine's really simple. I just have one phrase and I just have no regrets. So that's looking back and going, I want to be at the end of my life thinking, okay, I was there for my family, I was there for my wife, my kids, I had no regrets on the relationships. And now that doesn't have to be family, it can be friends as well. How do you want to have connections throughout your life with your friends? Then we have 4, which is vocation. Vocation is more than finances, it's business with a purpose. So what impact do you want to have on the world with your work? So that's your vocation. The 5th one is finances. So that's thinking about how can we earn enough money so that we can be free. That's probably generally what you're thinking about. So what would be, at the end, what would you like to be earning so that you can feel free in the financial area? And the 6th one is leadership. How can you be a leader in your society? What changes can you be making or mentoring people? So it can be tied into your vocation as your leadership. And then the 7th one is spirituality, and that's, I would describe that as what's your purpose in life. Again, it can be related to a God, or it could be related to you as a human. What is your purpose being here and working? So those are the 7 areas. Now, one big one that stands out that you could include is an 8th area, and that's your leisure. So what do you want to have accomplished for fun? So that could be travel, it could be that sort of a thing. You could probably tie that into health and wellness and vocation. So typically you can just leave that one out, but that's your 8th area. You could have a goal just for that. So that's broad picture. Have the end in mind.
Okay, awesome. And so when somebody's starting with this whole new setting of looking at the 7 areas, the 7 areas might become overwhelming. So what would you say to somebody that is like, oh my God, I have to work on all these areas at once? I can barely get through a conversation with, like, for example, my husband, or right now I'm really struggling on relationships and when somebody's feeling like that's 7 areas and I'm really stuck in all of them. What would you say?
Okay. So these are the 7 areas that we want to empower. So just pick one that you know. Put that down as your goal for the end of your life. If you leave gaps, that's fine. Just understand that if you don't empower that area, then someone else who has empowered that area in their life, they are going to overpower you in that area of life. So those are the 7 areas you want to try and have some sort of a goal. Once you've set that and you're working towards that, you've pretty much got it covered. So that's a broad basis in terms of those are the 7 areas that you can pick. Sometimes the 8th one. But if you can't pick them all at once, just start with one that you do know and start setting some habits and some steps and process to getting there. So, and that's where a lot of the work comes in. But if you can kind of sit back and just go, I want to be here at the end of life. It could be anything. It can change. But it's best to start thinking about it and having a direction for your planning now.
All right. So Erica is asking on the chat, thank you for joining and participating. What would it be a simple starting plan for finances?
Okay. This might be really simple, but number one focus would be step 1, spend less than you earn. Now, I know that's kind of somewhat obvious, but if you increase your finances, you will swell to meet that income that you start earning. So the point that you can start focusing on spending less than you earn, then when you do start earning more, you're actually going to be able to make some sort of a difference. Because what a lot of us keep doing is we keep earning and we don't have a conscious effort of spending less, and we kind of fill up and then we go, oh, I've got to find a better paying job, or maybe your husband or wife gets a job as well and you double your income. If you don't focus on spending less than you earn, you'll just automatically fill up and start using that income as well. It's like a comfort zone, a threshold. When you look at people's banks and you have the amount of money in their bank, they basically follow a bit of a fluctuating curve that as they reach the top, they go, oh, I'm feeling a little bit wealthy, and then they spend it and go down to the bottom, and you go, oh, I'm feeling a little bit poor, and then you save again. The idea is to stop this fluctuating, and probably the most powerful thing I've done for me is setting everything on automatic payments in your bank, and don't look at your bank as much as possible. So look at what your income is. Now, it's harder if you've got fluctuating income, but look at what your income is, how much your groceries cost, and transfer that money into the account, which might be your card, or maybe get it out in cash. And then you just don't look at it. So the idea is you're putting a little bit of savings aside here and a bit of grocery money there, and you don't have a feeling of your bank, because if you're looking at and feeling, you'll automatically spend the money when it fills up, and then you'll freak out when it goes down, and you end up getting this wave. I hope that makes sense, but that's
it totally makes sense.
I
want to push you a little bit farther here, because I happen to know Eric on a personal basis, and it's definitely a female thing. I am totally guilty of this too. That when we get a promotion, we're like, all right, we can try a few things, and now I can go and do this and I do that, and then you immediately in your mind also got a promotion of the funds that you can spend, right? So what would you say to somebody that is having automatically that connection to, like, the moment that I earn more, I can spend more? Because I know that that's exactly what you're saying not to do. So what would you say to somebody that already has that habit of moving up with on the experience level with it?
Okay. Habits of spending, that's a difficult one. I must admit I'm not entirely experienced helping people on finances. That's probably one way that you could help. And this is probably just talking out of my head here. I don't help a lot of people, but if you have automatic payments, then if your money increases for whatever reason, and you don't look at your account, then probably the account that the money is coming into will slowly build up. So if you're not looking at your finances, and be a little bit kind to yourself, give yourself a little bit of spending money. So my wife and I have a certain amount of our income gets split off, and that's our spending money, and that goes into a separate account. We can do whatever we like with that. We don't have to ask permission from each other. We can just spend that. Everything else either gets a lot amount goes out to groceries, and then the rest sits in the account as savings. And because I don't look at it, it actually I don't really know that it's there to spend. So as much as you can stop looking at your finances and set up a system that it can just control itself, then you're probably less inclined to spend it. Now, yeah, there was something I was going to say, but it's gone. So did you have anything to put there, Telma?
No, I completely agree with your system. We also have that. We definitely believe in the budget setting. I feel like you always have to be aware of how much you're actually making. So, you know, in the States, there's taxes. So when you are saying like, oh, this is my income, that's actually not it. So the one tip that I would recommend is saying, be aware of what you're actually taking home and base your budget out of that. That would be my one tip. Don't think that because your position is saying, I'm going to give you $100,000 a year, just for easy math. That's not necessarily what you're actually taking home. So you have to be aware of the take-home income. And I definitely believe and really like the fact and has worked for my relationship as well, of having a fun budget and doing whatever you want with it, because then it's awesome to have that and to feel the freedom to be like, all right, I can go on this trip, or I want to go into this brunch, or whatever, however you want to spend it. It's important to have it. I think it's part of empowering yourself in what I think it would benefit in the leisure. And so I would definitely recommend that. Yeah, that would be my 2 cents on that finance question.
Yeah.
All right, so we were also going to talk about planning.
Yes. Do you what do you do currently for, say, a weekly sort of a plan? Is that what the level we're going to look at?
What specifically do I do for planning? Oh,
yeah.
You're putting me on the spot. All right, okay.
Yeah.
I normally look at I live on my calendar. So if it's not on my calendar, like this live, it wouldn't happen because I will forget. And so I review all my activities on Sunday, and from there I right now I'm training for a half marathon that I'm supposed to be running 3 times a week for. So I feed that into my schedule, and I try to feed everything that is important to me on the morning, because that's when I have the most energy, and the least the evenings, because that's also my family time. So I block time on the evenings. And the weekends, I have I set an intention, but I try not to overplan them. I don't fill them up with activities back to back, because my intention is just to be present with my kids.
Yeah.
I like that.
I actually really like the word intention, because that's basically what a lot of planning comes down to is what do you intend to do with your time? You often won't do that thing, and so I think the best thing to describe it is the word intention. So you're looking at what do you got on for the month, and then you're trying to put in some time here and there and put it into your calendar to work on. That's great. Anything you can put into the calendar is probably the way to go. Going back to the right at the start of my story, getting control of everything that you've got to do is probably the most important. And that means recording every single to-do or potential to-do down in one place, not on a piece of paper here and an app there, or some in the calendar or some there, all in one place. And then from that, you're going to be pulling out a couple to focus on, and then you forget. So as something comes in, you put that to-do into a task, and then you look at that sheet for the week or the day, and you pull out the focused ones that you want to do. As you start getting through those focused ones, then you relook at that to-do list and you pull out any other ones that might become important. If for whatever reason you're putting out some important tasks and you're finding that you're not getting through these intentions, then you can do, say, a weekly review, or I review my task list 3 times a week. And that is, after a couple of days, I start feeling like I'm getting out of touch of what I've got to do. And as much as I don't want to look at my to-do list and I try and forget about it, if I feel like the few tasks, which I never write any more down than 6, I'm losing control of everything, I do an exercise what I call is get a grip. And for me, that is look at all of my to-dos, look at my calendar, and I go through and go, okay, any of these things, have they all become more important than the ones I'd already selected? And if they had, then I'll switch them out. But I make sure I never have more than 6 that I'm actually focusing on. So that's how I organize everything. And then I have what we would call more like habits. And that's just a spreadsheet. I love spreadsheets, but I know a lot of people don't use them. But I just have a spreadsheet. Yeah, you love spreadsheets? Great.
I do, but I'm a project manager. It comes with the territory.
Yeah. Okay. So I have 12 habits or semi-intentions, more habits, because I try to do them every day. And those things are things like exercise, spend time with the wife, spend time with the kids, read some scriptures for me, because I'm a Christian, so I read the Bible as often as I can. And those are things that I put on that. And they're like an everyday over and above my 6 projects or tasks that I'm trying to do. And that's just, I give those a tick as many days as I can during the week. Now, those are pointed towards those 7 areas of life which I have planned. So now we're getting down to the level of getting habits working towards the end of life. So I'm thinking about health and fitness. Where do I want to be? I want to be always fit enough to run a half marathon. When I think about mind, I want to become more savvy in productivity. I want to always be learning. So I try and have every day I'm learning something. So that might be listening to a podcast or listen to half an hour of an audio book, and that's where we're going down to a habit level, working towards our goal. So those 12 ones that I have trying to tick off each day, they're working towards the goals that we set at the start. And then you've got projects that come out, and you do those from your everything to-do list, and that's where you're thinking these are 6 prioritized projects besides to the habits. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. So I just want to take a second to greet everybody that has joined the live. I see Jessica, Chelsea, Isa, Ramon, my uncle Ramon, Adam, Beba, and Erica. So if you have any questions for Luke, this is the time. He's a productivity and life coach, and he can answer any questions. We went a little bit over his planning tactics, and then he put me on the spot for mine, and then the 7 areas that he covers. That does make sense. I feel like that's actually a very popular saying, and a lot of people start with the morning routine or the tiny little habits that you want to build to start your day in a powerful way. And I agree with you. I feel like it all goes back to an intention. So even if you don't have a morning routine, I would say it's good to start with just like an intention. How would you like to feel today, right? And then you can start building into your habits. If you, like you said, for you, it's important to spend time reading and with your family. Same, absolutely. But working out is definitely a thing that is on my to-do list in the mornings as well, because I know it sets me up for a more calm day.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
What would you say to somebody that is trying to figure that out? So I'm sure that when you were stuck in the overwhelm zone, you were not quite into, obviously not the spreadsheet, because I know that scares a lot of people. So what would you say that it would be like the first 2 or 3 tips to start into that area, into that part.
Okay. I would definitely, probably tip one would be writing a daily to-do list. So even if you don't have habits, you don't have goals, you're probably going to have some to-dos or potential to-dos that you do have. And we all have those coming at us. And it might be a house project, it could be mowing the lawns or doing maintenance around the property, but there's still going to be to-dos that exist. The most powerful thing that I've found is every single day, as you finish the day, if you could just take 5 minutes and write down what are your 6 most important things to do for the next day. The reason why I suggest doing it the night beforehand is you've just gone through a day and things are quite fresh. So what appears to you important to you there is the easiest to figure out. Because if you wake up in the morning and go, okay, here's the day, what do I do? You go, it's a little bit foggy. I go, oh, what was I supposed to do? What was that thing? I'm sure there was something I was supposed to do today. I can't remember that stuff. So that's why I'm doing it the night before. What do I do tomorrow? And never write anything more down than 5 or 6 things, because that's otherwise you start losing focus and getting distracted, losing time between all your different tasks you're trying to think of. I mean, to be honest, do you ever do much more than 6 things in a day? You might respond to more than 6 emails, but they're probably an email responding time. You could put down that as one thing. You could, if you know you've got to call this person tomorrow, that could be an item by itself. So you're making sure you're doing these 6 moving things. If you clear that list, great. Now you can go do some more. But the idea of writing it out the night before and you come into the morning and just go straight into it. I've already planned out what's most important. I'm going to do those things first. And then you go, okay, now I've got more time to work on these less urgent things and progress those.
All right. So Beba is also asking, how do you deal with life happens, when life happens and you fail to have your intention and goals don't meet up, or lack thereof, or much to do, or so little time?
Yeah. all great questions. So everything feels important. If it's something that you feel like you need to do, it's going to feel like it's important. The reality is that some things are more important than others. So we need to be okay with allowing some things to not happen. So if you're a parent, getting your kids fed, getting them to school, getting them in bed, those are, and anything else they need, dressed, those are your important things. So those are your wins that you've got to be focusing on. Understand that if you get to the end of the day and feels like you haven't done anything, you probably have actually done a lot more than you realize. And we have different phases in our life, and you must just be doing the most important things. If you try and do too much and you let your family responsibilities down, then you're probably likely not doing the most important things. So they're just phases. Now, what happens when you don't do something? Look, if you have an intention and you don't get it done, yeah, I understand it doesn't feel nice. If you have an intention and you do a little tiny wee bit of it, then you've progressed further than doing nothing at all. So if it's a motivation issue, if you can make a start, say, for example, I hate mowing the lawns and I really just don't enjoy it. What I've been doing lately is I mow the lawn over the space of about 2 weeks, and I do it in half an hour lots. So I pull the lawnmower out and I'll just do half an hour, because it takes me about an hour and a half to do the whole thing. And so I'm making progress on things that do need to happen, but I'm not completing the whole thing. I'm just making a little bit of progress. Makes you feel good. I've done something. Hey, once you start doing this progress, because instead of it being an hour and a half, I go, oh, it's only half an hour, or maybe 10 minutes. Take it right down to something that you can take an action on and go and do. You probably, just by doing it, you feel a little bit better. And research says that progress is the greatest motivator. So anything that you can make progress on, you will be motivated in other areas of your life as well, not only on that task. I kind of took a few different angles there, but I understand when everything falls to pieces, just think about other things in life. You don't just go and throw, say you lost $1, you don't go and throw the other $10 out that you have. If you have a plan in the morning and it falls to pieces, you've still got the rest of the day. Just pick up what you can and carry on. Rubbish does happen, and we've got to learn to cope with that, because it's just life.
Yeah, for sure. There's no such thing as an easy, perfect, non flat, without issues life. So I know, also Ramon, my uncle Ramon said, I used the Delta system for the past 36 years. When you prioritize the things you have to do and you work on getting things done, you become an impact manager or executive. So he's going to share that information with us, which is awesome, because I feel like great tools are amazing if you use them. You know, you can learn about many tools, but you have to use them, and then you have to be consistent into using them. Obviously, he is 36 years into using them, and he is very successful, a very successful manager and executive. So thank you for sharing. That would definitely be my advice. Find a system that works for you. Simplify it to where it's something that you can do and it doesn't make you dizzy. It doesn't have to be a spreadsheet that makes you dizzy. I think it's an amazing idea to make your to-do list on the night before. A lot of us get our gym clothes ready the night before too, because that way you have one less thing to think about. And the less decisions that you have to make, the better. And the more intentional that you're going to be, because you're already going to have a clear idea of what are your 6, in this case 6, or maybe 3 if they're too difficult. But as long as you can be intentional and concentrating in the topic, because yes, when you try to multitask, or you have many moms, we tend to put like a million things on the to-do list of all the things that happen in the house, right? The dishes, the lunch, the laundry, picking up, the diaper bag, and then dance class, and all these things. And then you are like, oh, I don't have time for my projects. Then I personally think that you definitely have the time if you prioritize it and you find the time on what you already know is a routine. So if the dance class is every single week at the exact same time, you know that that's a constant and you can work around it, right? That would be my 2 cents on the whole getting through the fact that life got on the way and then you feel like there's too much to do and too little time. So what else, Luke? What else do you want? Did I forget to comment on anything else? Or
I think we've pretty much covered most of it. If anyone else has any other questions of what we've talked about, feel free to ask. But I think we've probably basically given. I mean, in this sort of scenario, we're kind of skimming over it, and you would be able to work with people on a deeper level, on a one-on-one. But I think setting your 7 areas of life, and then making some intentions for the week, and then trying to do some regular habits that you're doing every day that's working towards those 7 areas. I think if you're doing that, you're winning. Yeah, you could get a lot more complicated with planning, but I feel like the more complex you get it, you either don't do it or you do it and then you don't review it, because it's a lot of drama to try and review it every time. So mine's very simple, right? And I do that intentionally, because if I don't have it like that, then my planning just doesn't happen.
Yeah, I completely agree. I feel like intention is if we cover anything huge today, like if the one thing that we really want you to remember, I would say is be intentional. Be intentional with how. I thought that it was a beautiful way that you expressed it. How is it that you want to be remembered? Like, how is it that you, at the end of the day, at the end of your life, how is it, how do you want to be remembered? How do you want people to think of you? I think that maybe if you even start thinking of 3 words that you want people to use to describe you, or you want to use to describe yourself, would definitely start guiding you and getting you closer to the intentions that you want to set, maybe on a daily basis, weekly basis, or however works for you, right? The simpler, the better.
Yeah.
Well, for anybody that wants to get to know you a little bit better, I know you're a super fun dad. I follow you, and I have a lot of fun looking um at your posts, which are also super quick tips. So
Thank
how
you.
can
Well, I'm most active on Instagram. I have tried um, LinkedIn and Facebook and a little bit of YouTube, but I find it a little bit too much. So I'm grabbing what's most important for me to be focusing on, and I've decided that's Instagram. So um, if you just find my profile, that's where you'll see me most active. So yeah, that's Luke Tattersall NZ. It should show up, I imagine. I haven't do
I will
all the tags and things.
tag
Yeah,
it on
cool.
tag you
Yeah,
on it? Yeah, don't worry. Like, yes, that
cool.
one
But yeah, Instagram is the place to follow me if you're looking.
awesome. Is there anything else that you wanna say as your parting words, or anything else that we should cover?
Oh, no. Well, just remember that progress is the greatest motivator. So set your intention. Just make a little bit of progress on it, and you'll be motivated to do more. So if you're feeling down and overwhelmed, pick something, do a little bit of it, and get past that procrastinating and being a potato.
Yes, please do anything but become a potato. And you know
Yeah.
that there's a reason why there's a saying of the couch potato. Thank you so much, Luke, for your time and for your life, for all the information that you shared with us. It was definitely amazing to cover the 7 parts of the life that require the planning and how your steps. I love the fact that you took the questions right off the press, and so it was like, I really appreciate your time and your information. So until next time, but in the meantime, I'm gonna definitely put all his information on the notes and go from there. If you have any additional questions, you can reach out to me directly. And the information that my Uncle Ramon sends, I'll be adding it to the notes as well, or to the people that asked specifically on it. So thank you so much, and thank you for everybody that joined and participated. I love the fact that on lives you can really get a good idea of what people are really wondering about. So thank you for being such a good sport. It was great talking to you, Luke.
Yeah, thank you very much, Telma. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to talk with you. It's awesome. Okay, see ya.
Bye.